Then I will pass it over to Linda, who will be our speaker today and will also introduce her co-presenter. So Linda, when you're ready, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, good morning. So Jenny has already introduced me. Thank you, Jenny. I'm Linda Engebretson from the National Weather Service office in Duluth, Minnesota. With me today is Josh Brinkman. He's the emergency manager for St. Louis County, Minnesota. And he's going to help me with this presentation, and we'll get started here. So I've already introduced ourselves, but essentially we have started an embedded meteorologist program with St. Louis County. I'm going to kind of talk about what we're doing, why we chose St. Louis County, what we do each day when we're here at the EOC, some example incidents or events where we have supported St. Louis County, and then include some success stories and lessons learned. Go quick over what we've accomplished, and then what our challenges and future opportunities are. So we've explored the new National Weather Service operational model by embedding a meteorologist in a local partner's EOC to provide direct eye-to-eye support. While this primarily supports St. Louis County, we also anticipate supporting the broader Northeast Minnesota and Northwest Wisconsin region. This will also demonstrate how a WFO that is not associated with a full-time ERS that is based at a state office can still provide eye-to-eye support to our partners. The position is staffed by a small dedicated team of 5 meteorologists plus the 3 managers for backup. The small team model provides diverse skills, spreads out the experience, builds a deep bench of trusted people, eases leave coverage, and then keeps the involved staff operationally proficient. Staffing the EOC is a primary operational shift, not an extra. The embedded meteorologist is not pulled back to the NWS office, even during severe weather. The shift is mandatory and must be filled when leave occurs. Management will often cover an NWS operational shift to allow a qualified meteorologist to staff the EOC. So why did we pick St. Louis County? Well, it's big. It spans nearly 7,000 square miles, extending from a densely populated urban area to pristine wilderness that is along the US-Canada border. It's the largest county east of the Rockies, yes, bigger than Cherry County. And there are 17 cities, including Duluth, and the busiest port on the Great Lakes. That's Duluth and Superior together, called the Twin Ports. It also has 5 Minnesota state parks. It's part of Voyageurs National Park, the Boundary Waters Canoe Area, the Superior National Forest, and parts of Lake Superior. We also have a growing relationship with the St. Louis County Rescue Squad, which is one of the most active rescue squads in the state of Minnesota. Because of this relationship, we were delivering so many search and rescue spot requests in 2024. We became the 2nd busiest office nationally for search and rescue spots. Since we were providing all these weather support requests already, it made a lot of sense to just go over there and provide support more directly. This year, we're currently in 2nd place for year-to-date SAR spots. So unless Juneau ups their game, we're coming for you. All right. So what does our day at the EOC look like? We deliberately have few routine duties for the embedded meteorologist because we never know what the day may look like. We have a few scheduled briefings, including a twice-weekly briefing to Public Works for winter operations and a Monday briefing to the EMs. And then actually we just started another briefing to another one of our county's Public Works departments. We attend meetings and exercises with the emergency managers. These may be exercises or meetings the NWS may not have been invited to previously. And as part of that, we're helping to establish new partnerships, including public health, fire chiefs, and others. Sometimes all we're doing is listening to conversations and chiming in to offer weather support. As we began, we didn't know what they needed. They didn't know what we could provide. We're often also listening to county radio traffic so we can be more prepared as events develop. And I'll highlight why later. Most importantly, we are right there, ready to go, and can be proactive about support anytime, side by side with the EMs, right where and when they need it. The number of times Josh has turned to me and said, "Hey, Linda, we're going off to go do this. You want to come along? Do I need my laptop? Yes, no. Grab the cat card, grab the laptop, run out the door." I mean, you're right there. So our first day was April 9th this year. A lot of excitement with that. We invited the media in to talk about our new initiative. And as you can see, St. Louis County put out a news release for that. And I almost lost the mouse. There we go. So here's our first deployment just a few days later. Woody deployed with the St. Louis County Rescue Squad for a recovery operation in a state park for someone who had gone missing during the fall of 2024. And they wanted to take advantage of the bare trees before they leafed out to try to find this missing person. The main concern that day was winds for drone operations and search parties of the human and canine variety. Depending on the wind, dogs have a different range for detecting a scent. Just a few miles an hour difference changes their search tactics dramatically. Drones have upper wind speed limits before they need to be grounded as well. We learned a lot about being deployed that day, briefing the searchers and working with the radios and the varying teams. Here, I had gone out and deployed with the St. Louis County Rescue Squad to recover a missing person who had drowned in the St. Louis River. I used Wind Ninja to help the teams narrow down from where a dog had detected scent to where they eventually found this person. More lessons that day on how to communicate with and brief the searchers using that Wind Ninja's data to predict wind direction and speed for them that day. Just so you know, the photograph on the left is in the location on the right between those two bridges. And as you can see, the wind was coming in from the left there, and Lake Superior is to the left. And so that can cause a lot of havoc there. But Josh, I think you had something to add there.
Yes, I think this search and recovery operation was a really good one for us as a county and sheriff's office to really see some of the tools that you all are much more familiar with than we are. And so we didn't know what we didn't know before we saw it in front of us. So prior to this partnership of having an embedded meteorologist with us, we would traditionally request a spot forecast, see the direction of wind, see the mile per hour and the forecast as it follows, and kind of just take it at that. We all know that wind operates different in valleys and with obstructions and everything else, but we've never seen some of the modeling tools that you guys have at your fingertips. So being able to bring this out to our canine search and rescue teams for them to say, hey, we're getting some weird detections, weird actions from our dogs. We don't know what that exactly means. And all right, well, now let's look at this with this Wind Ninja and see how does that correlate? Maybe does that change the area that we're searching? So this was, again, just a fantastic example of demonstrating the value of having somebody out there in person with us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I took that photo standing there on the beach, and I can't see it terribly well from where I am sitting right now, but in that yellow circle, there's at least 2 search boats out there looking for this missing person. They did eventually find them. All right. Again, notice this one's April 29th. We got off on a running start. Right there within April, we had 3 events. So this particular event happened on what was otherwise a blue sky day, on which we would not have even considered sending someone out in the past. There was an activation of the Lake Superior Child Abduction Response Team, and the St. Louis County Rescue Squad was deployed to help find a missing child in Douglas County, Wisconsin. Because Ketzel was right there with them, she was able to answer questions about how rain the night before may have affected the human signs that had been found. If we hadn't been there, they may have not have even thought to call the office to ask about how much rain had fallen and how much that stream had risen. St. Louis County Rescue Squad was so happy with us that day. They bragged about having our resources on social media. So that's this is their post here. And this missing child was found safe. In mid-May, fires started, 3 fires, I should say, started, which impacted parts of St. Louis County. While 2 of these fires were eventually managed by a Type 1 incident management team, there was a distinct difference between what we did and what an IMET does while directly supporting firefighters. We were there to support public safety rather than focusing on fire behavior or fire suppression activities. This ended up being the most complex incident we have supported to date. Combined, the 3 fires burned over 30,000 acres and destroyed over 150 structures. Josh, you got this photo on the first day, right?
Yeah. This was, I guess, day 1 or day 2. It was all kind of a blur. I would say with some of the other examples Linda was talking about, those were great. And we were seeing that, yes, this is a useful and beneficial partnership. But these fires were truly the one that really concreted it. I think for myself and my counterpart, there was times with this that with all the resources and all the teams and people working this, we didn't know exactly where that fire was and possibly what it was going to be doing. And we were able to kind of lean on Linda as far as, hey, what is satellite detection showing? Where maybe these hot spots, as this fire was very rapidly jumping, we were having to make those determinations for evacuation efforts. So it was a very fast moving incident, but again, being able to lean on that person next to you, not having to make a phone call, as we had thousands of phone calls coming in, it was very, very beneficial.
Yeah. So when the fire first started on Sunday, the EMs requested to have a meteorologist on site with them. So that was that Sunday. They were deploying to Brinkman, Minnesota, which is an hour travel time, with their command truck to manage the evacuations around the fire. That's the command truck in the photo here. We ended up spending the first few days at the command truck with 2 shifts each day. We provided support with current and forecast weather conditions, which you can see on that big monitor there. And then we were able to provide rough estimates of the progression of the fires using NGFS satellite data and other remote sensing data. So like these fires showed on the on radar as well. They were pretty big. In the following days, as an incident management team came in and took over the management of the 2 larger fires, we deployed to the incident and command post in 2 harbors where multiple agencies had gathered to work the incident. This photo is of Jonathan briefing Grand Portage EM Roth Vogel. So there was not only just the St. Louis County emergency managers, there were several surrounding emergency managers there as well. We were able to leverage the expertise that we've developed in fire weather forecasting to help the EMs understand the incident action plan with its forecasts created and distributed by the incident management team. So I know that we've had a couple of incidents where it's like, oh, what does this mean? Well, there. Over the duration of the fires, we provided 11 days of embedded support between the EOC, the command truck in Brinkman, and the fire incident command post in 2 Harbors, Minnesota. So here's some specific decisions where our support was instrumental, but I was going to let Josh talk about this slide. So I'm going to go ahead and plop the map up there so you can kind of all see where we're talking about.
Yeah, so this kind of like what I was saying earlier, as far as not necessarily knowing what the fire is going to do. That's obviously an issue with dealing with wildfires in general, whether you're dealing on the evacuation side of that or the suppression side, but just trying to use all the data that we have at hand and try to make the best educated and informed assumptions and forecasts of the fire conditions that we can, so that we can keep the public safe is really what we're trying to do. With the Jenkins Creek fire, which is the one kind of on the north side of that map, closest to that yellow rectangle circling around White Lakes, that fire started to make a westerly push towards the city, so a higher population area, and that was all because of a storm. So the storm had high winds with it. It had rain kind of on the back end, lots of precipitation. But it really was kind of a juggling act of what was the rain or the wind going to win. And on the front end of this, the wind was winning by quite a bit. We weren't seeing much precipitation at all. So with this, we were very extremely close to basically our trigger point and when we would evacuate this city of 2,000 people. So we did spin up both our sheriff's office and quite a few other public safety agencies to stage in an area outside of the city so that they were ready if we had to pull the trigger within the next 15 minutes. They could enact and get our population out of that area safely. Once they were in that staging area, both myself and my counterpart, Alex, got notification on our phone saying that there's a tornado warning in the area that we just put well over 100 law enforcement individuals in search and rescue right on top of them. That was the only place that we're getting a tornado warning. So this is, whatever day it was, I think Thursday. So yeah. So we're into this quite a bit. 20 plus hour working days a piece. We're pretty sleep deprived, but at this point we can only laugh about it just because we say, of course, we pick an area that's out of the way, that's safe, that's not the smoke, and now we're going to get a tornado dropped on our heads. So we did reach out, and Alex actually reached out to Linda that day and said, what's going on with this? She said, that wasn't an alert that our office put out at all. That's not an accurate thing. In no way, shape, or form are you getting a tornado in that location. So what it did come to be, it was a miscoding of a severe weather threat from our 911 center, coded it incorrectly by a misclick, and it got sent to us as a tornado warning. So again, being able to have, I think, the relationship built with our embedded meteorologists ahead of time so that that's a quick conversation. We can trust the answers we're getting right off the bat. And it can open up that we get that fog of war in an incident like this where things are very confusing. That one fixed that issue pretty quick for us. But I think ultimately, like I said, we were 15 minutes away from needing to evacuate this city, and all of the firefighting resources were pulled off of it due to the high wind. So we asked the question, well, how do we know if we hit that trigger point if no one's out there to watch the fire? And the answer was, if you get 0.5 inches of precipitation within the next 30 minutes, we're comfortable that it won't hit the city. So we said, okay, we start the stopwatch. 30 minutes goes by and we say, Linda, what are we looking at for precipitation across this area? And she says, looks like 0.5 inches. Well, holy cow, we made it. So we were able to demobilize all of our resources and not evacuate that city. The storm ended up putting that fire to sleep enough where they were able to get it under control.
Yeah, that was an insane week. And we had just started this. I mean, we'd been out a few times in April, but this was May 11th through like the 12th. This happened on like the 13th or 14th, if I remember. And it was just, I was back at the EOC this day because of course we had the wind coming in. I had the NGFS satellite hotspots up, so I was able to send you guys those satellite hotspot imagery that we were shooting back and forth, and that I was able to let you guys know, well, just how fast was this thing moving. So that's that was a crazy week. So after that week and the following week actually settled down, here we are getting into late June. June 30th, Woody accompanied the St. Louis County Rescue Squad to Aiken County for another recovery effort. The case involved a man who had gone missing in late May. Then the Aiken County Search and Rescue Squad was also present. So the main concern this day was for lightning affecting the searchers as convection moved across the area. So it was kind of like pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Woody provided a briefing to all the searchers once they had arrived, and then he provided multiple radio updates, both from the command truck and in the field. After one of these briefings, the drone team decided to end one of their flights early ahead of an approaching heavy rain shower to protect their equipment. The main lesson learned this day: it is possible to maintain a weather watch on the iPad, communicate with command via radio, while also observing a dog searching the woods. This day started out as a fairly normal midsummer day. Holly had briefed the EMs first thing in the morning about scattered showers and thunderstorms, which had the potential to produce heavy rainfall. Around mid-morning, Holly heard county radio traffic initially responding to a house fire, which rather quickly and dramatically escalated with the words, "shots fired." While this started around mid-morning, there were responders on scene well into the evening as showers and storms with very heavy rainfall moved across the area. Holly's morning briefing caused them to bring extra tents and canopies to preserve evidence and also allowed personnel to work the scene more comfortably. They also had to wait a few hours as bomb squad units and the Minnesota BCA, which is an independent investigation team, traveled in from elsewhere in the state. My notifications of storms with lightning, her notifications of storms with lightning moving in also kept them safer by alerting them when to head to cover. Josh, you had more to say on this one.
Yeah, so I guess in the past as an emergency manager, when I see a weather forecast, there's certain kind of trigger points in my brain that says, okay, this is a big enough type of storm or event that I might have complications. If I look at a forecast like what we had on this day, hey, it's a lot of rain. My first question is, does that look like it's going to make anything flood? If the answer is no, it really doesn't change my workflow or most of the people that I work with. We're still going to have to do what we have to do. We might just get a little bit wet with it. But I think because of having that person that I was talking to in our office and saying, hey, like, yeah, it's going to rain a lot. And honestly, putting it in language that I can understand. You guys are all very, very smart and use a lot of really technical talk that sometimes, honestly, it goes over my head. But these EMETs are really able to break it down for someone as simple as me, where I can understand it and say, okay, well, how much are we talking about? So, yeah, it's probably going to be one of the heavier rain events than we've seen all year, actually. So when this incident came out, it's hitting my head pretty hard that deputies that I know are exchanging gunfire with an individual. That's a pretty high stress type of deal. But the fact that, hey, it's going to rain a lot was still in my head. I think that's a testament to like how valuable this is. Preserving evidence is great. Keeping our people dry is great, but it's, I think, just a good example of like, it was still in our heads that rain is going to be a big consideration for the day, probably lightning too. And that's something that we were able to work through the incident and talk back and forth with Holly, because yeah, we did need to take advantage of the drier time periods as the storm system moved through the area to be able to get certain work or move certain pieces of equipment or set certain things up, because it was a long day for all of us involved.
I remember you guys telling me after the event that we were looking at this photograph and you were talking about how that ditch slowly filled up and that you were having to jump over the ditch to get out of the command truck in order to get that. And then, of course, once you've got the command truck in place, it's hard to move it, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's, yeah, that's, by the way, if you're ever curious about one of these command trucks, think of one of those great big campers, not quite semi-size, but campers with essentially what's a semi-truck on the front. And it's a big vehicle and it doesn't move easily. So, we're getting closer in time here. On this day, the sheriff's office got a call which prompted search and rescue in a remote area near Crane Lake, Minnesota. Just for your information, the red line on the radar imagery there, that is the US-Canada border. So due to the very long travel time, just 2.5 hours for the Crane Lake area, I stayed back at the EOC and provided weather updates over Armor Radio. These timely updates gave rescuers windows in which they could operate on land and water and when to look for shelter. I later learned a new hire deputy who was riding along with another deputy for training was convinced by one of my radio transmissions to shelter in their vehicle. Shortly after they made that decision, there was a lightning strike less than 30 feet from their squad. The main lesson learned, you can provide much needed support from the EOC via radio. First responders are expected to be out in the field in all types of weather, but we can help them be better prepared and do it more safely by being right there than we ever could previously. This was also shortly after Wind Ninja became available for spots in DESI. While Wind Ninja information was not a key tool that day, it will be useful for other similar incidents. And I have note that you wanted to say something here.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, during the incident operation period, we tell our folks, hey, you know, there's going to be lightning, there's going to be wind, there's going to be rain. But hearing it from a meteorologist brings a certain level of legitimacy to that forecast that myself or others can't necessarily do. They don't necessarily take us maybe quite as seriously, but when they hear, hey, that was a meteorologist that just told me over our radio system that, hey, maybe we should get inside the car and take shelter now. They still have to be out there in the field, like Linda said. They still have to go out in a boat or out in a squad or out on a four-wheeler. But yeah, that level of professional legitimacy of the message is something that is not lost on our deputies, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, just a couple days later, I got to meet this deputy, and he's like, "Oh, you're a rainmaker? Oh, wow!" You know, so grateful deputies, by the way, is a big perk of the job. Ketzel deployed this day. This is actually just a couple weeks ago with St. Louis County Rescue Squad for a planned search and recovery for a person who went missing in August. Again, to take advantage of the now bare trees in late fall for better visibility. She was on site in Superior, Wisconsin with the St. Louis County Emergency Management Mobile Command Truck, which was the incident command for many agencies, including St. Louis County Search and Rescue, St. Louis County Emergency Management, Superior Police and Detective Department, and Sawyer County Search and Rescue. Multiple informal briefings were given throughout the day. The main concern this day was wind speed and direction, as very strong winds were very influential on drone and dog operations. Drone operations are limited to 35-knot wind gusts. Our surface forecast was acceptable for the drones, but they fly at 200 to 400 feet, so some aviation forecasting and interpolation was needed to determine what kind of max gusts the drone may experience in flight. Her briefings influenced the timing and location of drone and dog team sorties. Drone flights had to be suspended for several hours due to the strong wind. This was like right off the lake, if I recall. Yeah, and it was just, it was really strong winds that day. But not everything has been serious or difficult. Some days it was just plain fun. On this weekend, I deployed with the EMs and the rescue squad for the Duluth Air Show. There's nothing like watching an air show from a lawn chair while you monitor showers nearby for possible lightning activity. I know you can't see my screen there, but I had GR to analyze stuff. And yeah, Duluth hosts the largest air show in Minnesota. This was a training evening for the St. Louis County Rescue Squad that I was able to observe. The Minnesota Air Rescue Team, otherwise known as March, with the State Patrol. They came to Duluth to demonstrate the capabilities of their brand new helicopter and discuss how and when the team can be called in. So they did a whole demonstration flight there. It was really neat to see. So let's break down what we've managed to accomplish. We've been doing this now for a little over 7 months, and so far it has been a resounding success. While several of these numbers are an undercount, providing over 200 hours of in-person support for real-world events shows how useful we've been. So yeah, it's kind of validation for us. So, and Josh, I have note that you had something to add here.
Yeah, I guess for me, seeing these numbers, you know, we're seeing them every day now, which is really cool. But trying to quantify, you know, how many hours are we truly spending outside of our office setting, more in a field for a real world incident. So seeing these numbers, that's really cool for me to see, and that helps, you know, within our agency to say that this is something that is working. We are using it. This is not a concept or you know, we all buy pieces of equipment, or whether that's for work or home, and it sits in your storage closet and you never use it. This is something that we definitely do use, and we're not even a year into it. So I think it's just really impressive what we've been able to accomplish with it so far.
I think the relationship building has been huge.
Yes.
So, our close relationship with the St. Louis County EMs led us to develop and improve a bunch of data visualization tools for the EMETs to use to provide better briefings. These tools help improve the quality of our briefings and have helped at the WFO for products there as well. Of course, many of these tools are familiar to us from using them as part of briefings to our partners and the public. Here at the EOC, we have a display right at the right when you walk into the EOC that essentially kind of talks about what the big weather thing is for the day. And this is one from earlier this summer. You know, there's tools all over the place there. We've got, you know, the weather dials. We've got yeah, thank you. So it's just those tools have become very, very useful. So
I'm getting feedback.
yes, yeah. You guys love it when we stick a smiley face on there because yeah, the emojis are, you know, because frankly that, you know, the simpler we can keep the message, the more likely it is to get across. The trick is that it's hard to include nuance. And so it's a challenge to balance, you know, including the nuance and keeping it simple. So that's always been fun. All right. So here's our challenges and future opportunities. Now that we're moving into winter, the EMET provides a twice weekly briefing to the St. Louis County Public Works, and then we have a once weekly briefing to Itasca County now as well. And this aids in their snow removal or otherwise winter operations. We may find that the EMET should be over at Public Works during winter storms instead of at the EOC. It helps that the EOC is next to a Public Works building, so if they need us, we're not far away. The Brinkman fires started on a Sunday, which implies we may need to expand the number of days we are at the EOC. We're going to give this a trial for 1 month during our spring flood and fire season in May of 2026. And then our vision is for the EMET to be ready to deploy upon request of any of our 27 EMs around the area and provide support for any event they need us for. A possible future option is to explore the idea of expanding to other counties, perhaps for part-time embedding where the EMET goes to that county for the day instead of with St. Louis County. So I know you guys would miss us, but we would still be on the end of the phone line. So that is my presentation. I want to thank Josh and Alex here at the EOC. Joe, thanks very much. And Jenny, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
All right. Thanks so much for that great presentation. This is just an awesome example of IDSS, and I think it's going to be really helpful as we do start to embed more meteorologists. I think we can use a lot of your lessons learned from this project that you've been working on. So if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. You can type it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and start talking. And I'll also mention this is going to be a presentation at the AMS annual meeting. So any feedback or questions that you have right now might help them continue to craft that presentation as well. Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, great stuff, you guys. It looks really good. The question I have, and we're wrestling with here, you know, and I'm sure others are as well, is how do you manage the staffing? You know, we have so few staff available. Do you just leave one person then at the office while this is going on, or I guess just overall, how do you all manage the staffing for that?
All right. So, did you want to speak on this one?
I can. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, no. I'll go ahead and
I'll
roll over. Joe Moore is the warning coordination meteorologist at Duluth, and so we're going to include Joe here because he's a member of management and he can talk about stuff that are above my head.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're embedded Monday through Friday, and it's essentially just an extra shift for our forecast staff. So during the spring and summer months, it essentially was a 7th shift. We've always operated as 6 shifts a day at our office. And so this was a 7th shift that we added. For the fall now, in the winter, what we've done is we're now down to 6 shifts a day. And so we have partial coverage, partial single shift coverage on the evening shift of the office. And that allows us to essentially have that 3rd day shift that works as the embedded meteorologist. And like Linda emphasized, like, this is an operational shift. This is not a fun little extra activity that we're doing. This is something that we've said we're going to be here every day to provide this weather support. And it's part of our staffing plan. That if the EMET calls out sick, we figure out someone that can replace them. If they need us on a Sunday or someone to stay late, we figure out the staffing on our end, and so that we can meet that obligation and that promise that we've had.
Yeah. So,
and they also understand when people have to call out sick, and
yeah,
we they're flexible.
Yeah. So, it does help that we're only down 1 meteorologist at this office. So, we're nearly fully staffed. We're lucky, but that allows us to do this.
Hopefully
Yeah, maybe I'll ask more Joe offline, because we'd like to do this, but we're really poorly staffed to try to pull something like that off. And I'm wondering, do you guys offer routine overtime to do something like that? We know this is the direction we want to go, but we probably just don't have enough staff to make it work right now, which I'm trying to figure out how to do it without, I don't know, making my staff completely burned out with no days off.
The trick is it doesn't have to be all day or even every day. If you could find a way to make a half day over at the EOC, or even just set up periodic meetings so that that they know that you're there and you're there to support them. I think that's a big thing. And so it's one of those things where building that relationship, not just with the emergency manager, and not just with the warning coordination meteorologist, but also with the rest of the meteorologists, that personal relationship where Josh knows that he can call up any of us and get the information he needs quickly and easily, makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. We have that, but obviously we're moving more towards other things. I don't want to take up any more time here, but I really like what you're doing, and I'd like to emulate that, but staffing prevents us being able to do what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and I'll just say real briefly here, like Linda said, the relationship building is really big. In the past, prior to this, we know that all of you are real people out there doing this work, but from our perspective, or maybe some of the other partners, we're going online, we're filling out a request for a spot, and we get an automated, what feels like an automated email. I know it's not, but so we get that just automated process, and we never get to interact with the person behind the scenes doing that work. So this has been just enlightening for us to say, like, hey, there's so much more to it than I ever could have guessed.
Yeah, and us handing the information off to you makes that relationship that, hey, there's people I know that are out in this muck.
Yeah.
What can I do to make it better for them?
Yeah, and I would, and this is like we talk about, like, what's above and below the line of mission critical, and like this is the top thing. Another office could do our tasks. We don't have to have somebody at the office. Like, I'd rather have a meteorologist with the emergency managers providing that critical decision support, so that, because this is what it's all about. Yeah. Delivering the mission.
Well, this is where we're going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why we've jumped onto it and made it a priority for us.
Yeah. I got to tell you, being able to talk to the people you're directly supporting makes a huge difference. Face to face, being face to face means that you get that valuable feedback. It's not just the social media keyboard warriors that are sending you hate mail. It's people that appreciate what you have to say and appreciate your input.
Yeah.
And we appreciate their feedback as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I sorry, Steve, I'll get to your question here in a second. I think too, it's also great that the embedded meteorologists now have a better relationship with the emergency managers than I do. So now, like, they're making jokes with the emergency managers, and I'm like, oh, I'm not even a cool person anymore. Like, I'm like this. Oh, that's Joe at the office. Like, so I mean, that's been so rewarding, I think, for the embedded meteorologist to have that great relationship.
Yeah.
And it just makes the communication better. We can talk about effective communication and doing a professional presentation and plain language, but spending hours and hours together is how you do this. How you build a great relationship and know how to talk to each other, so that Alex can text you and say, hey, is there a tornado right now? And,
Yeah.
and you can be like, no, absolutely not. And there's no need for cordial professionalism. Like, you guys know how to talk to each other.
Right.
So it is
Yeah.
professional, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I got this text from Alex, and I'm like, he's like, LOL, what's this tornado warning? And I'm like, I was like, what? So yeah, that was an interesting day, because that was when we had those thunderstorms rolling across, and I was like, wait a minute, they just issued a regular severe thunderstorm warning, not for that location, it's elsewhere. What? Yeah. So yeah, I pretty much, so much of this is being able to pull up resources that they don't even know we have, like the NGFS satellite data. That was a complete introduction. There's a lot of things that they don't know that we have the capability to do, and that can be very helpful for them. So, yeah, Steve.
Yeah, Linda, fantastic presentation, and Josh, I never want to move to St. Louis County, so I wanna give you a lot of credit for everything amazing stuff that you guys are doing up there, and sorry to hear of all the search and rescue that you deal with. So a couple questions, and maybe I don't know if it's more for Josh than it is for Linda or Joe, but you say that you've deployed 157 times. Obviously, weather isn't busy, or the search and rescue opportunities aren't there. Fire, police engagement's not there. What are the staff doing during the downtimes when there isn't that much going on? Can you take me through a day in which it's blue sky?
I'll answer part of that maybe, and then give it to Linda. So I guess that was kind of one of my concerns with this, being that as busy as you can see we can be, we don't need weather support 24/7. That's the reality of it. So yeah, what do you do when it's truly a blue sky? No one made a bad decision today. We're not out doing anything. I'm working on an Excel document or a spreadsheet. I'm doing budget stuff. We're not doing anything weather related because it's a beautiful day out. So yeah, what do we have this person in our EOC doing? I think what I've been able to see is like Linda said, some of the meetings that we say, this isn't weather related whatsoever. This is maybe a radio board that we have that we sit on. Maybe this is we're going out to a partner within one of the cities that has concerns on their dam structure. To me, I'm not thinking weather. I know weather has an impact on a dam structure and can, especially if it's really bad. But I wouldn't call to have a meteorologist in the past come out with us for a one-on-one meeting with that. But like that, Alex and Linda went out, and Linda with previous experience, dam break experience. How valuable was that to have a dam break expert that has seen that happen in real life with us? So I think there's been more and more opportunities for those off-hour type things. I don't see you guys not being busy, I guess, even when nothing's going on.
Well,
so
yeah, that's true. That's true. You do have to pick people who can use their time wisely. Frankly, lots of times when I'm over here and it's a blue sky, quiet day, I know over the last month I've been working on this presentation. I've been working on a lot of things that benefit both the Weather Service and the emergency managers. So some of the software development that we've been doing, the data visualization development, that gets done in our downtime. I'm working on an integrated warning team meeting. That, stuff like that gets worked on while we're over here when it's quiet. We can do other things when we're over here. I'm actually finally fully up to date on my training for the first time in a few years, right? Yeah. So it's one of those things where it seems like you have downtime where you're not doing very much, but frankly, if you know how to fill your time with valuable things, you can do it. And it's during the Brinkman fires, I learned that you guys use that NASA firm's website for data for fire detections. Well, I was able to look at that and go, we can do better. And while I found out that, going through that training, I found out, okay, well, the NASA firms is more accurate, but it only comes in maybe twice a day. versus the NGFS is right there. And you know, there's benefits and negatives to both, but you know, it's one of those things where you find yourself researching little things that you can use while doing decision support services.
Yeah, a lot of professional development time.
Yep.
On those quiet days.
Yeah.
So, and they're also, you know, it is an operational shift, and they can still help out with operations
Yes.
as their time allows. Sometimes that's, you know, yeah, I can help you do this presentation. I can help you update these the weather story graphics. But then there are times where, hey, something just came over the radio. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
FYI,
yeah.
I'm hitting the road.
Yep.
Thanks, bye.
Yeah. I mean, lots of times, many days where it's been like, oh gosh, I remember the day of the Monday after the fire started. You walked in and you're like, fires are breaking all over the place. And,
Yeah.
and I was like, do you want me to come along? So yeah, there's a lot of times where it's like, hey, something's going on. And I'm like, okay, do you need me or my resources?
Yeah.
And, you know, I usually ask and they go one or the other and off we go. You know, it's more that dam break time, you know, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where long years of experience, you know, and having had worked dam breaks before, I'm like, oh yeah, you don't have to worry about this. You need to worry about that. And that was an interesting day. I didn't think I'd speak at all that day. And then, yeah.
Well, thanks for clearing that up. You provided some great insights there. And then back to Joe with your scheduling. Is it the same person during that Monday to Friday, or do you rotate it through multiple people?
So yeah, it's a Monday through Friday shift, and we have a team of 5 meteorologists right now, plus managers who act as a backstop support. We are the last line of defense. We try not to do it. We get. But no, so it is, this schedule is a little bit random. Sometimes they get an embedded meteorologist for the whole week, 5 days. We try to keep it in chunks, so at least they're doing like 3 days here, and then it's 2 days of someone else. But everyone, I don't know if I answered the question, but it's on the schedule. It rotates through different people, but sometimes we try to keep it the same person for a few days in a row. Did I answer the question?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so. Did it?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, no. Again, like we said before, it helps that we are nearly fully staffed.
Yeah. That's like,
And that's, I think that for offices that are down more than a couple of people are going to struggle with this. But that's where I think you're going to find that finding a way to make that personal contact with your EMs is going to make a big difference as to when it's on the top of their head to call you or not.
Yeah, and I think there's just going to be more flexibilities in the future,
Yeah.
right, in terms of the transformation of the National Weather Service, and like, oh, we don't have to do this at this task at this time. We can go down the single shift coverage at the office so that we can have an embedded meteorologist somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, you know, blue sky days at here are typically also blue sky days over there.
Exactly.
And, you know, when weather ramps up, they get busy over here too. So it's, yeah, I mean, the number of days when we've had crazy stuff. Something that I don't think I got a chance to mention is that just because we definitely staff the EOC doesn't mean that the person from the EOC can't come back to the WFO
Yeah. So many examples in the summer.
yeah, I mean, at least twice where I worked a full shift at the here at the EOC, packed my stuff up and then headed back to the office to work an evening shift of watching, you know, severe weather. So that's, you know, that doesn't completely take out that person from helping out for severe weather. It just means that, you know, they do need to help from the EOC first.
And we didn't really talk about the office and embedded meteorologist communication, but there's constant communication going on there. The office briefs the EM met each day when they come in, and then where there's things going on, they're constantly talking. So they're truly connected to the office.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you go look at the chat logs from, you know, like that May event, you know, stuff's going back and forth constantly. So, or even, you know, when we're supporting an event, there's chat logs going back and forth all the time. So,
Anyone else?
Any other questions?
I think Patrick sort of commented.
Let's see. Oh, Patrick.
Oh, I did? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
No, I was just really wanted to comment, especially on the blue sky days, and really, like, there's not always a ton of things, right? That like that's intentional, because our focus, especially, and maybe different, like if say you're embedded at a stadium seat, right? Like we're just starting to get those off the ground. That especially our stance is it's much more tactical and operational in the way we're embedded. So that's why we keep those EOC duties light. In words of Josh, people still make dumb choices even on a blue sky day, and someone's got to go, right? And so that's why we keep those duties intentionally fairly light. And being face to face with all these folks that not sure if the story was told, but what's your call sign on the radio, Linda?
Rainmaker.
And who gave you that?
The rescue squad.
There you go. So,
Yeah. We were like, yeah, that's not how it works, but you know what?
Right.
It's short, we'll take it.
but
Yeah.
I think that kind of playfulness, folksy next to that call sign is a sign of the relationship, right? That's been
Yeah.
So good job, Rainmaker.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I am not seeing any additional questions. Thank you again for presenting to us, for bringing all of this together. Best wishes with your presentation at AMS. And that concludes our call for today. The recording should be available here in a couple of days, and we will make sure we distribute to that all of the folks on this call and those that weren't able to attend as well. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.